Hello, everybody. This is James Tierney coming at you from TierneyEducation.com with another economics tutorial video talking about opportunity cost. This is going to be a three-part video. This first video, we will go over the definitions, absolute advantage, comparative advantage, opportunity cost, how to read a table, if they're giving you some hypothetical figures for yield per acre, pretty much just saying these products, oranges and grapefruits, how many we're going to produce, and then we have resources up here of 100 acres of farmland. And let's start there. This question is telling us that we have two, in this case, states that are producing something, right? And the goods that they are producing are the oranges and grapefruits. And the resources, or in this case, the one resource that they have is 100 acres of farmland. So what exactly is this statement telling us? And again, it's really important to understand what the question is asking and what information is given to us. You can't get the rest of the question unless you understand the basics. And you might say, well, that's kind of obvious and clear to me, but not to everybody. So I want to really talk about what this table is telling us, right? It gives us what we call, is a matrix here. I'm going to draw some lines so we can really see what's going on here. This right here, 4, is connected to Florida and oranges. This 6 right here is connected to Florida and grapefruits. So what that is telling us, I'm going to kind of make this box in red. This is telling us Florida can produce or create, right? Can produce 4 oranges or 6 grapefruits per every 1 acre of farmland. So that's what this right here is telling us, meaning that California can produce 20 oranges or 15 grapefruits for every single, right? It says per acre up here, for every acre. Again, what I always want you to do is before you even start to answer any of these questions is make sure you truly understand the information that's presented to you and how you can read the data. I'm going to do the same thing for California. If you think that you're pretty comfortable, you understand that Florida can produce 4 oranges, 6 grapefruits for every acre of land. If you understand what California means, you can fast forward through this next 30 seconds, or even better, pause and write down what you think I'm about to write down. But either way, I want to make sure I'm helping as many students as possible. So this purple square that I have right now is telling me that California can produce 20 oranges or 15 grapefruits per every 1 acre of farmland. The last thing I want to make sure we all understand will be this in green right here. Each state that we're talking about, in this case, California and California, have 100 acres they can use. And throughout this whole problem, again, I'm going to do 3 videos for this, right? 3 videos for each video. This is going to be important. Now that we have the basic information solid in our brains, we can answer these next 6 questions. The first one is asking what's the opportunity cost in terms of the amount of grapefruits given up of producing 40 oranges in Florida. So the first thing we want to make sure we know, opportunity cost. This is just, and it's kind of already told you here, given up. You can think about this, about what's given up. I tell a lot of my students to think about this as what is it costing me What am I losing out on? That's what the opportunity cost is. Of producing 40 oranges in Florida. All right. Well, how many acres would it take for Florida to produce these 40 oranges? That's what we're trying to kind of answer here, right? How many acres would it take Florida to produce these 40 oranges? I'm going to make this just a little smaller and move it slightly to the right so I have more room to write on here for you guys. So if we look here and we know every 1 acre, Florida can do 4. So I'm going to do this step by step. A lot of you might be able to already see this answer, but I'm really going to do it step by step over here. I know we get 4 oranges per 1 acre. We want to know 40 oranges over X. That's our unknown, right? We're just setting up a ratio. 4 to 1 is 40 to blank. I'm going to do the math out for this and then give you a shortcut that you can always use here, right? If I do cross multiplication, I would get 4x equal to 40. Divide both sides by 4. X is going to equal to 10. So this means that the answer for how many acres they would be using up, it would be 10 acres. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's the answer, but it's not the answer because we're trying to figure out what's the opportunity cost. What did they give up? Well, Florida is using 10 acres to produce 40 oranges. So what we need to figure out, we need to answer the question. I'm going to bring this down here on the left-hand side again. We have to answer a question, what could they have done? Right? What could they have done with those 10 acres? What could they have done with those 10 acres? Well, for 1 acre, they could have done 6 grapefruits. So in 10 acres, they could have done how many grapefruits? And we do cross multiplication again, and we get 10 equals 60. So my answer, let's see, I'm going to try and fit it right up here, ANS, for my answer is going to be 60 grapefruits. That's what my answer is going to be for the question, what is the opportunity cost and amount of grapefruits given up of producing 40 oranges in Florida? I know I really took my time on that one because I want to make sure every student can follow along. I'm going to do this next one a little faster, so you can always go back and try it yourself, and you can always email me if you have additional questions. We want now the opportunity cost, but this is 40 oranges in California. Well, it's going to take California how many acres to produce 40 oranges, right? That's the first question. And I can see up here that if they do 20 for every 1, we actually over here, they can produce 20 oranges for every 1. That means it's going to take them 2 acres to produce the 40 oranges. And in 2 acres, California could have produced 30 grapefruits. So that's my answer, because in this case, right, we're just saying if California chooses to use those 2 acres for oranges, they can do 40. They could have used those 2 acres to do grapefruits. So that means 15 times 2, they could have done 30 grapefruits. Now, these last 4 questions here, those are going to be a little faster because it's more definition. So I just want to make sure we understand these definitions. Absolute advantage. So I'm going to do it ABS, absolute advantage. Basically, which one can produce more with the same resource. So basically, I care about you understanding more. So who can produce more oranges? Well, for every 1 acre, California can produce 20 versus 4. So this must be California. And we can do the same thing. Absolute advantage is producing more. Make a flashcard for that. When it comes to grapefruits, Florida does 6, California does 15. 15 is greater than 6, so this must be California as well. And last but not least, let's do comparative advantage. So comparative advantage. This is whoever can produce at the lower opportunity cost. So I like to think about this as who is more efficient, who is better, who has the comparative advantage when I compare the two. It's going to be the lower opportunity cost. Again, something you just need to know. Well, we just talked about what's the opportunity cost of oranges, right? And we saw that the opportunity cost of oranges for Florida was 60 grapefruit and for California was 30 grapefruit. So which one was lower? 30 is lower than 60. So this would be California. Now, we could do this whole thing over again to find the opportunity cost for grapefruits, and maybe your professor would want you to do that, but I'm going to give you a shortcut. When it comes to comparative advantage, you're going to have one country, state, person, whatever it is, one economic agent will have the opportunity or the lower opportunity cost and the comparative advantage in one good, which means the other one will have the comparative advantage in the other good. So there you have it. This is how you understand a chart like this. You then calculate opportunity costs if they tell you, right, how many, right? What is the opportunity cost? So it's like, what are you giving up? And using this over here, right, go back to this over here if they ask you for a different number, right? If they ask you for 50 or 60 or 1, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. Just use this over here. And then knowing the definition of absolute advantage, comparative advantage, and saying who has it. The next video, we will go over showing how you can do everything combined. So we can see like what's the maximum production combined with like given some information. And then the third video, we will graph out the actual production possibility frontier. Thank you again for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will put this in a playlist for production possibility frontier along with some of my older videos. And I hope this really helps you. Again, James Tierney, TierneyEducation.com. Come check us out.